If you guys are unfamiliar, this is Mike Lindell on the right, of course, and this is Drew Pinsky on the left. Famously a TV doctor known as Dr. Drew. He did a syndicated radio show called Loveline for years, and he's very, very famous is the point here. Anyway, Dr. Drew spoke with Mike Lindell, of all people. Of course, Dr. Drew is like far right. He's a far right nutcase at this point. So I want to hear what Lindell and Dr. Drew had to say to each other. It's bound to be fascinating. And while we listen, we're going to play some Super Metroid. It's going to be in the background. Won't bother you too much if you never played it before. I have to jump forward because he's got like 20 minutes of ads in the beginning of like sponsorships and stuff. In the previous episode, he actually did have a full 30 minutes of advertising in the beginning. That's crazy.
Mike Lindell joins us today, the one and only My Pillow. You can follow Mike on X, Real Mike Lindell, Lindell.
That's going to be a hard pass for me. Yeah, Elon should not have given Mike Lindell his thing back.
He also has a long story, which he talks about in his memoir regarding his addictive process, and he now has a network that he helps support others in recovery, LindellRecoveryNetwork.org.
There's a whole rabbit hole that I'm probably going to end up going down with this, but suffice to say, Mike Lindell's recovery network is complete garbage and bullshit. It's BS. And his story is BS too. His story of addiction, I know for a fact that the story that he told or the stories that he tells about his addiction are lies because the story changed dramatically. And I'll prove that. But let's keep listening for now.
ORG, which I want to talk to him about that. We'll talk about My Pillow. We'll talk about his fight for election integrity. And Mike Lindell will be joining us in just mere moments.
Oh, I'm sorry. More ads, apparently. All right. So 5 minutes in. We got more ads. Let's jump forward. Oh, more ads. Okay. All right. I think we're starting at 6.5 minutes somewhere, or 7 minutes.
We'll be here just a second. As I said, you can follow him on X at Real Mike Lindell. And I do suggest you check out his organization, Lindell Recovery Network.
It's complete garbage. Do not use that.
FrankSpeech.com also. And the book is What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. So please welcome Mike Lindell. There's the book, CEO, My Pillow. Welcome, Mike.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
So, I know a little bit about your condition, having worked in that field for a long time. How long have you been sober?
January 16, 2009.
Okay. I don't know the exact date that I got clean, personally. I was addicted to heroin and OxyContin and stuff. It was a big epidemic in West Virginia, and I got caught up in it, of course. Mike Lindell likes to rattle off dates and pretend that he's, he remembers this stuff because it was so important to him, but he's lying. It's just straight up a lie for some of this. This is Mike Lindell's recovery story as told at Greg Locke's church, if you've never heard it before or whatever. This is from 2022. This is June 19th, 2022, and he lies in this.
I had been up for 14 days with no sleep, and
That's a lie. The longest anybody has ever been up, awake, was 11 days, and they died. Not sleeping will kill you. He was not awake for 14 days. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
I come out of the bedroom, and all three of the big drug dealers are standing there, and they're going that they knew of each other, but they had never met.
And Mike Lindell brought them together. He's just that kind of guy, I suppose. Yeah. Big drug dealers in big cities don't really deal with each other very much because they stay away from each other's areas of control, if you will. So I don't know why Mike Lindell would bring them all together. Keep listening.
And I go, what are you guys doing? They go, we're cutting you off. The one guy says, Ty says, we're cutting you off. You've been up for 14 days. And I'm going, I've only been up for 12, you know, whatever.
Just a lie.
And the one guy says he's
So a drug dealer who cares about his clientele's well-being.
not getting anything from my people, and because they all had like sections of the town right there where we were. And so two of them left, and he sat and he's going to wait me out. He said, how much crack you have left? I showed him what I had left, and he sits there in the chair. No, I'm out of crack, and I'm carpet farming. Anybody knows about crack, scraping the pipe, and you know, for 14 days, I'm getting, you know, even up the paranoias weren't even going on because it was up.
I've never smoked crack. I've never really been in the crack world, so I don't know this for a fact. But to my knowledge, crack is a very short-lived buzz, isn't it? You don't stay up for like long periods of time unless you have like a massive amount. Meth keeps you up for long periods of time, though. Like days at a time. Though meth and crack aren't physically addictive, they are mentally addictive, like no other substance in the world. Now, you keep listening here.
So long. Well, I looked over and he was asleep. So
One of the big drug dealers, one of the 3 drug dealers who's a millionaire in the town, cared enough about Mike Lindell's well-being that he was willing to sit in his chair there and make sure that he didn't go find any drugs. And he fell asleep, and he went out there looking for some. Okay, go on.
I tiptoed out the door down to the streets of Minneapolis.
Tip-tailed, okay.
And tried to buy crack. And I couldn't buy crack anywhere. And in any city in this country, you can get crack in the middle of the night, trust me. And they're coming out to me, they're going, no. Well, they had gotten the word out by the one dealer had, and said, he had went down to the street, said, if you see some crazy white guy with a mustache, you sell him crack and we're coming after you. So the word had got out, and these guys are backing away like there's something wrong with me. I searched for an hour.
So the point is, he's lying. This is false. Drug dealers, the biggest drug dealers in the city of Minneapolis, which is a pretty big city, the biggest drug dealers in the city did not care enough about Mike Lindell's well-being to cut him off from crack and tell all of their people, this guy's been up for too long, man. He's killing himself. We got to stop him. We got to save him. Drug dealers care more about money than their clients' well-being. If that wasn't true, they wouldn't be selling drugs in the first place. His story of addiction is one lie after another. This isn't even the only example of a lie that I caught him in this video he did at in this speech he gave at Greg Locke's church. I caught him in it like a billion others. He claimed that he built My Pillow from the ground up without borrowing a single dime from anybody. And then in another, appearance or whatever, he claimed he borrowed $30,000 from bankers who didn't know if they should trust him or not, but decided to take a risk on him or whatever. It's just nonsense. All of it. It's lie after lie after lie. Is the guy even clean? I don't know. So that's what we're dealing with right now. Let's keep listening to listen to him lie about his story once again. Oh yeah, and when he hits the Lindell Recovery Network thing, we're going to talk about that in more detail too. Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video.
Congratulations. It's a big deal. And thank you for helping others
Wait, what was the date he gave?
for a long time. How long have you been sober?
January 16, 2009.
Wow, okay. I've been clean since 2011, so that's pretty good. If it were true, I don't know. Is this real?
Congratulations. It's a big deal. And thank you for helping others in recovery. I mean, I know that's my patients always tell me that's how they stay sober. It's by keeping other people, being of service, at least to the ones that are serious. I have had many.
That's not true. I went to secular therapy, not AA or NA, which this idea is all based around. NA and AA are about how you have to have a sponsor and people in the program sponsor others and everything. It's built around helping others and all that stuff. I guess that's productive. That can be productive. It's important to find community with addiction, though, at the very least. And secular therapy does do that. Have group therapy and stuff. But this is just, this isn't an accurate representation of reality. Okay, go on.
Recovering people over the years, they always tell me, I'll go to the mat if they're serious, but if they're BSing or obfuscating, you're on your own. Good luck with it.
Right. For me, I always thought I went through all different secular treatment centers throughout the 80s and went, get your license back, get a DWI, get your license back, go play the game. And they...
Wow. Okay. Well, you can be a crack addict and not drive drunk. That was his bad decision.
The instructors, since they had never been there, it was just like a game we were playing, and they put all this shame on you. Well, you spent all your money, you hurt your loved ones. We already knew all this stuff.
I went to a secular therapy program. Now, granted, secular therapy was not in the 80s where it is today. Of course, society progresses, big surprise. But I'm hard-pressed to believe that secular therapy programs in the 80s were guilting people. We're supposed to, of course, acknowledge the errors that we committed and the wrongs and everything. But NA and AA are the ones that guilt people. You have to do all kinds of things, make amends, and all this other stuff. I'm not sure what he's talking about. NA and AA are religious programs. So what's he even talking about here?
Addicts and
yeah.
So when I quit by the grace of God overnight, like my Lindell Recovery Network, it's all people that have been there. Like I've been there. I've been there, and if I want to hear from someone that's been there and they've made it through, that resonates with me. And I call them hope matches. You got a hope match out there, same addiction, same maybe same age or whatever, the commonality of the addiction.
All right, let me give Mike some advice. Don't make up your own stupid recovery network. I mean, if you want to have a recovery network where people adhere to standards and ideas and everything, great. I'm all for it. Don't make up your own idea of how you think people get out of addiction, okay? Go with what the scientific community says about it. But, all right.
And going, wow, he made it through that. He made it through that. I can too.
Not only that, in terms of the peer model, there is a program, the mutual aid program does work. It stands up to scientific scrutiny as much as any other treatment modalities.
I'm not sure what he's talking about here. The peer model, is that what he said?
There is a program, the mutual aid program does work.
I don't know the mutual aid program. Never heard of that before. I have a degree in substance abuse counseling. That doesn't mean I'm like the most knowledgeable person about it at all. And I haven't actually been in the field in like forever, of course. But I'm unfamiliar with what he's talking about here.
Stands up to scientific scrutiny as much as any other treatment modalities.
If Dr. Drew is saying that, it's gonna be a hard doubt. I'm sorry.
And using peers is clearly the most efficient thing. Not only that, but there just aren't enough professionals on earth to sit on and meet the needs of somebody early in this process. They have huge needs, and it's only because someone has done it for them, the peer individual, that they're willing to do it freely for others. And
I mean, I don't have anything against peers working together to make sure that they stay clean. That's fine. Who is he arguing with right now?
Guess what? More often than not, it's free.
Right. My LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's wait on it, free.
Yeah. And whenever that stuff is attacked, I'm like, what? It's free. What?
Who is attacking this? What are you talking about? I don't like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. They're garbage. But who the hell is attacking peer-based recovery? I've literally never heard anybody ever attack peer-based recovery before.
What part of free do you not get? This is a form of healthcare that stands up to scientific scrutiny, and it's free. And what is wrong with people? It's just odd to me. But there's usually
Yeah, unfortunately, therapy does cost a lot of money. A secular therapy, like drug rehab that is not based on, or not in a church basement, based on religious principles. It's expensive, and that's disappointing. That's sad. It shouldn't be like that.
usually, as you sort of alluded to, there needs to be some sort of
Isn't NA run by Scientology? Not that I know of. I've never heard that. I thought Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous were an extension. Or I'm sorry. I thought Narcotics Anonymous was an extension of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was started in a church basement originally. To my knowledge, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with Scientology. I mean, Scientology has effectively, they have programs like that. They claim, will solve all of your problems or whatever. It's just complete nonsense, of course. But I think NA is mostly, non-Scientology.
scientific scrutiny, and it's free. And what is wrong with people? It's just odd to me. But there's usually, as you sort of alluded to, there needs to be some sort of spiritual program embedded in people's recovery.
100%.
Wait, there has to be a spiritual program embedded? I'm sorry, man. I got to take this down. We're like 3 seconds in, and I have to hit this. Mike Lindell and Dr. Drew argue that recovery must include God in some way. Got it. Go on.
Yeah, it needs to be faith-based. You got 85% success versus 5%, and it's
Actually, it's the exact opposite. Faith-based recovery systems have a terribly low success rate. It's like they're worthless practically. I don't think that the model is doomed to fail every single time necessarily. I think it should just be based on science. It's not right now. These Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, they're not based on science. They're based on religion. 3 of the 12 steps or something require belief in God to complete. It's based around a Western Christian religious moral system. So yeah, it just complete garbage. They're not useful. Again, there are aspects of them that I'm all for, but what they're saying here isn't one of them. What they're talking about, the spirituality aspect, is actually harmful. Secular therapy has a dramatically better success rate than Narcotics Anonymous. I looked this up a while back to see what success rates were, and Alcoholics Anonymous is like flipping a coin. It's basically as good as not going to any therapy program at all. I think they're improving their rates at this moment, trying to.
Back when I quit everything overnight, 2 months later, I actually went to my church. It was a faith-based treatment center there. I went there to find out why I was an addict in the first place. And the first thing I did, I walk in the place and I'm going, and I'm bragging up on how many drugs I used to do and all this. They go, we don't care about that. We want to know it. The first thing they said, tell us about your father. I go, what did my father have to do with anything? They started digging back. I come from a divorced family back when divorces weren't common, back in 1969. And
yeah, what does your father have to do with this? What the hell are you talking about right now?
Do I blame everything on that? No, but I'll tell you, the family unit, they did a poll once in Kansas of the felons that were in prison. Now,
oh my God, the family unit nonsense. Okay, let me just say that this is a dog whistle. It's useful to have multiple people in a home. It's difficult to raise a kid alone. It's much easier in this society that we're in to raise a kid with somebody else. And 2-parent households, minimum 2-parent households, have much better outcomes than 1-parent households. That's true. That's 100% real. But this is a dog whistle. When right-wingers talk about this, it's not that they really care about, 2-parent households or anything. It's a dog whistle to signal to people who want to be racist but don't know how to get away with it without being complete scumbags. Nick Fuentes, full-blown Nazi, talks about how black families are suffering right now because they aren't because all of the black fathers keep going to jail because they're not good people. They're not working hard enough. They're not staying in the home, blah, blah, blah. It's all a dog whistle to make people out to be, to make it out like black families are to blame for any issue that they face at all, any issue. And systemic racism is not a factor to any degree. It's black people's problem. It's black people's fault. It's a way of redirecting blame to somebody other than them so that they don't have to face the issues that they're facing, like systemic racism, for example. Anyway, yeah, I'm in favor of two-parent households. I'm not in favor of bullshit dog whistles to racist extremists.
These are felons. What percentage of their parents got together, planned on getting married, got married, had the child, and then were still married while the guy or gal was in prison? 0%.
Yeah. Guy, gal, or non-binary pal, thank you very much. And no, this is completely fabricated. It's nonsense. He says 0% of felons, have two-parent households. Who believes this? You can't tell me that Drew Pinsky believes this, right?
Everybody, 0%. As you get down to the county level, it goes up and up from there. So the family and God are so important in getting through that.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And finally, in the later 90s, 2000s, my profession started looking at something called the Adverse Childhood Experience Scale. And lo and behold, an adverse childhood experience is divorce, shocking, addict in the home. Somebody's an alcoholic, which I suspect you probably had that because the thing comes from somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And no, the gene doesn't have to come from somewhere, but once you're an addict, that passes down, and you're like much more likely to have children who become addicts. It's very important that addicts, after having kids, explain to those kids that you need to be careful about addiction and everything. Because it's difficult to stay away from it for kids who are the children of addicts.
It's a biological process, and yet we have still been living in a time when the families have been allowed to decay. Kids are,
again, a dog whistle for people who want to be racist. I don't know that they're even using it. These two guys here, I don't know that they're using it as a dog whistle. Maybe not. But people are hearing what they're saying here. These racist pieces of garbage are hearing it, and they like what they're hearing. It's a common refrain on the right.
No one's born within wedlock anymore. There's not, single family homes are just ridiculously common. Marriages don't last. And then the spiritual side of thing, we'll go to that next. But why have we allowed families to deteriorate so much in this country? In fact, I don't know if you saw the president of Mexico. He was being interviewed, and he was glib in his answer, but it's getting at this point. He said they were talking about fentanyl. The journalist was, why aren't your people using fentanyl? And you saw the snap back. We have families. Our families are intact here.
No, people are using fentanyl in the United States like mad right now. I don't know what he's talking about. Do you think that there isn't a fentanyl problem? And even worse than that, sadly, the fentanyl problem is particularly disturbing because heroin use has not gone down since the fentanyl problem started. Heroin use is exactly where it was before, basically. It's just that now we have a massive fentanyl use problem on top of the heroin problem. In addition to it, they're very similar drugs. One is just kind of easier to access than the other, basically, or cleaner or safer or more controlled or whatever. There are reasons why people use this drug over that drug. Anyway, the fentanyl problem exists in America, and it's really, really bad right now. Terrible. This guy is just completely full of shit. Everything that these two people have said so far is bullshit. Okay? I have a 2-year degree in this field. A 2-year degree. This guy has a medical degree, internal medicine, and is famously a doctor for TV people or whatever, for celebrities and stuff. How is he like, he's not misinformed, right? This is just a lie. It has to be a lie. I don't see how else he could believe this stuff. Fentanyl is everywhere. A lot of drugs can be laced with it, especially ecstasies come and cut with fentanyl. Never heard that before. Ecstasy? I know I've heard that ecstasy is cut with things, but I've never gotten any hard evidence of it. I mean, ecstasy is just MDMA. It is a chemical just like any other. Methyl deoxymethamphetamine, MDMA. That's what it is. And LSD is lysergic acid diethylamine or diethylamide. Yeah, amine, diethylamine. Anyway, yeah, I've heard ecstasy is laced with all kinds of shit, with meth, with fentanyl, with heroin, with crack, with whatever, coke, but I've never actually verified it. People have to press their own pills, but I don't know why they would lace anything. Like, they don't have to lace the MDMA. They're losing money by having to get extra drugs to mix in with this, right? Seems to me, but I don't know. Diethylamide. Okay, it is an amide. My mistake. Dr. Oz is actually a respected surgeon, too, but he chose to sell out and become a quack like Dr. Drew. Yep. Dr. Phil, too, is very well-informed, very knowledgeable about these subjects, but is a quack doctor. You know, taking Suboxone for addiction, I take Suboxone, and I had an issue with it. It was causing problems, anxiety and things like that. And my doctor at the time said, he suggested a homeopathic remedy. I don't remember what it was now. He said, I think it works. And that's the moment I realized I'm not staying with this doctor. I don't care what you think. Is it backed up by data? The answer is no. Anyway, tell me what you think about this in the comments. This is just seemingly brazen, lying nonsense.